Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about all of the return to office thing that's been going on in the industry. So, during COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of companies adopted remote work and the industry is now trending towards RTO or return to office. So in this video we'll cover how employees are feeling about it, what is the company perspective, and across the board we will have some shocking statistics about all these things. And then I'll leave you at the end with some key takeaways. So let's get right into it. So, the industry's trend after COVID-19 pandemic is there are some companies that are maintaining that flexible or remote work, like Nvidia, for example, or Airbnb. They realized during COVID that, it is possible to deliver and be productive with remote work. So they are continuing those initiatives. However, there's a bunch of other companies like Amazon who mandated 5 days a week, JP Morgan who followed suit, Starbucks dealt with an employee backlash, Google also did some sort of return to office, although that's only 3 days a week. And then, recently AT&T followed Amazon and also did a 5 day per week return to office. So here's all of the companies that have some sort of return to office policy. And, we have companies that are fully remote. We have companies that are doing hybrid, like 2 to 3 days. And then we have companies that are going back to the full 5 days of RTO. And you can find this link in the description where I got this diagram and some more details on that. So overall, how do employees feel, right? Like 1 in 5 workers aren't even following their company's RTO policy. Amazon's RTO revealed that the satisfaction was only 1.4 out of 5, which is really low. And 73% of surveyed employees are considering quitting after they received the 5 day RTO from their companies. 80% of professionals reported knowing a colleague who was considering looking for another job. And 66% of surveyed employees want to be in office 3 days or less. And 21%, which is a third of those, want to be fully remote. So, a lot of employees really, like the flexibility. They want to be not going to the office 5 days a week, especially that what we've seen with the COVID-19 pandemic and the remote work, right? So before we move on, I'll just do a small plug here to support my channel and to support what I do. These are some 4 RTO essentials that I'll show you. And if you want to purchase any of these items, I'll have links in the description and I make a small commission out of that. So obviously, if you're going to the office, you might want to block out noise of people around you. So, here's some headphones that you can consider. I also have a more budget-friendly version link in the description. The second thing is very interesting. I didn't know this existed, but basically a lot of times you have a coffee mug in your office or in your desk and it gets cold. So this device right here can keep your coffee warm. So this is a mug warmer. And then, a lot of you might want to have a nice backpack. So here's a stylish backpack recommendation. Again, links in the description with more budget-friendly options as well. And then, protect your eyes, right? Like you might not have the luxury of setting your monitor settings to remove blue light. So, I recommend wearing these blue light glasses to sort of protect your eyes. Okay, with that, let's get back to how do employees feel, right? So these employees have a lot of issues with the RTO policy, as you can see here, like time to commute, lack of flexibility, difficulty in balancing personal or family responsibilities, distractions in the office, or lesser productivity, and then, some anxiety around socializing or not enough office resources. So a lot of the employees have, all these issues. And, 55% of employees actually who are surveyed obviously report feeling less productive due to interruptions, noisy environment, tiring commute, just feeling less focused in the office, social distractions, too many meetings, issues with the office layout, and so on and so forth. So with employees having so many issues, why are companies doing this? Like, what is the benefit? Like, why is this being done? So, this is a quote from someone who did some surveys, and like honestly, given the economic conditions and the cost cutting that's been going on, it could be a timely ploy to hope that employees will quit, and that way the company avoids layoffs, which comes with its own sort of requirements and legal implications. So, but a trade-off if companies do this is they may lose their top talent because they can't really choose who ends up quitting this way. The other thing that was quoted is, okay, like there is a trust factor, so companies don't trust that certain employees will work effectively when they're at home, and they take advantage of the situation. So there's this trust factor as well. And to be honest, like 60% of companies are ignoring employee perspective in RTO. Like that was the data reported. But at the same time, they say, okay, it's easier for teammates to learn, model, practice, and strengthen our culture. So by being in the office, they say, okay, it's easier to learn from each other, collaborate, brainstorm, and whiteboard things, and just, inventing is much simpler and more effective when there are organic conversations happening and people are just collaborating. So that collaborative part is definitely an advantage, which ends up, benefiting the company in the long run. Obviously, yeah, teaching and learning from one another is more seamless, and I can speak from experience here that, I saw some junior people on board to my company or to my teams, and yeah, like those who onboarded in an in-person setting definitely got up to speed much more faster than others. And teams just tend to be more connected to one another because of that personal connection in person. So what are some of the key takeaways now? Like we've examined the employee perspective, the company perspective. So what I would say is, you can't really control what companies are doing, right? So there are companies now that are going to be fully remote. There are companies that are going to be hybrid. They do maybe 2 to 3 days. Out of those, maybe some companies will strongly enforce that policy, and some companies may be a little bit more lenient, right? And then there would be companies that are doing a full 5-day RTO. So, everyone's situation is different. So find what your needs are, things that you can compromise on, things that you can't compromise on, and just find an employer that aligns with your needs. Like that will make you the most happiest. As we saw, 60% of companies don't really value employee perspective in making their decisions. They're just making business decisions. So, just find an employer that aligns with your needs, and, there isn't going to be much value in sort of trying to change what the companies are deciding, because, they're just going to decide what's best for them. And then, there are downsides of RTO, but there are also upsides, right? Like, as I mentioned, new people have an easier time onboarding. You can easily maybe expand your network. If you're a more social person, or, if interpersonal connections are your strength, you can maybe do that more easily with RTO. So, there are upsides and it can benefit you. So like also see the bright side on how it can help your career while balancing it with the things that you really need, the things you cannot compromise on. And that's the first takeaway, right? So it's kind of appreciate both sides of it and find what works for you. So I hope you enjoy this video or learn something from it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.